makeup friends! Now that we are nearing the end of July, I thought that I would share with you 10 palettes that I think are perfect for summer. Let's get into this. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. In terms of the makeup that I'm wearing on my lips, I have one of the new This Is Milky glosses from NYX, and it is in the shade Cookies and Milk. And then on my eyes, I have shades from the Michaela and Glam Light palette. I did film this look. My intention is to do 3 looks with the palette, although I have made promises like that in the past and have not followed through. But as I sit down today, I fully intend to film 3 looks and share them with you. At any rate, let's get into today's video. So like I said, it's going to be spotlighting 10 palettes that I think are perfect for summer. And when I say perfect for summer, I'm referring just to the color story. And I do want to put the caveat out there that there really are no rules in terms of what colors you can wear at what times of year. Nothing of that sort, and that's not what I'm trying to imply. But when I think of summer makeup, I think of more bright colors, more sort of ethereal sort of looks as well. So those are the kinds of palettes that I have chosen today. I haven't ranked them in any sort of order, so we're just going to dive straight into it. So the first palette that I'm going to talk about, I'm only referring to the color story because I can't comment on how it performs because I haven't used it yet. But the color story really sucked me in, and it's this one here from NYX. This is the Festival palette, one of their ultimate shadow palettes. And there are the shades in here, and I think it just brings to mind summer sunsets for me. With the pinks and the purples and the oranges, I do like that it has the inclusion of the matte black as well so that you can deepen this up, which I think will help it transfer into other seasons as well. But when I first saw it, I thought that is definitely a summer kind of palette, and I did want to pick it up. I'm not super familiar with NYX shadows. I have used them long ago. Don't really remember my experience with them. So I am looking forward to playing around with this, seeing how it goes. But just in terms of the color story, this is one that just screamed summer to me. Taking it in a totally different direction though, we have this one here from Huda Beauty. This is the Nude Light palette. And the reason why I think spring summer with this one is just because of how light and ethereal it is. I think that you could just create some really pretty quote unquote feminine looks. I always hesitate to say that it's really super girly or feminine because I don't want to pigeonhole anybody. But my own interpretation of femininity is soft and gentle and pretty, and that's what this palette reminds me of. So this is one that doesn't have obviously a lot of depth to it. So when I think of fall and winter makeup, it's a little bit more moody to me, a little bit more keeping in with like the darkness that you see in those months, at least here in Canada. And this is the total opposite of that. This is just light and airy, and that makes me think of summer, and so I've included it in this video, obviously. Now when I think of summer as well, I might think of these soft and gentle looks, but sometimes I also just think of just bright and sunny, and this one fits the bill. This is from Adept Cosmetics, and this is the Lemonade palette, and I mean, it really holds no surprises. It's lemonade inspired, it's bright, it's sunny, it's lemony, as are my earrings. So maybe I should have worn this one today, but choices have been made, we're gonna stick with it. At any rate, I can speak to the performance of this one, and I can speak to the performance of the Huda as well. It's perfectly fine. But this one, I was concerned that you were only going to be able to get sort of like a one-trick pony out of it. Like I just thought it was only going to be able to be used for really one look, despite having 9 pans in it. And yet there is enough variety in the tones that you can express some creativity with this. Of course, you are still stuck with the same color palette, but I really appreciate that you have very light yellows up here and then a really deep, almost bordering on brown down here. There's a nice mix of mattes and shimmers in there, and I just think it's a really smart collection of monochromatic tones. And while these are all obviously yellow shadows, you do get that variation and you do have a nice contrast in tones and finishes, and that's one of the reasons I included this, but more so to do with the color story, and I think it's so fun and bright and sunny. It's perfect for summer. So next up is a fairly new one in my collection, and this one's coming from Odin's Eye, and this is the Cat's Breath palette, part of their new Saga of Freya collection. And there are the shades in there, and I really can't put my finger exactly on it for what makes this so summery to me. I think it's just those mixtures of elements in there, but I think it's also just the play of the turquoise and the orange. I don't know why that seems particularly summery to me, but hey man, it's my video. I think it makes me think of summer, so I've included it. At any rate, I really, again, like that you have this mix of finishes in here. And again, there's 9 pans, but you can go in a multitude of ways with it. This one obviously strays from being just a monochromatic palette, but you've got a nice brown down here. I will point out that brown does have little micro flecks of like gold glitter in it. Not a glitter shadow per se, but it has a little bit of shimmery element to it. You do have some like shimmery items here, and then the rest are matte. And I just really like this one. I think it's really pretty. You could pull for more orange, you could make it a more turquoise kind of color, but all in all, I just think that the tones hit at that right a level of brightness to make them summery. I feel like I might be stretching with my justification on this one because it's not as obvious as some of the other palettes, but be that as it may, to me, this one is summery, and so I'm sharing it with you. Now, another aspect for me with summer makeup, ignore what I've got going on here, is that sometimes I like to just have like a one and done situation. Like I don't want to be stuck in my makeup room doing these really intricate looks or anything like that. I just want to feel put together, feel pretty, get out the door and enjoy the day. And for me, this is the perfect palette to accomplish that. This is the Plain Jane palette from Adept Cosmetics. And if you haven't seen it before, hold on to your butt. So there she is in all her splendor. These are all super foiled shimmery shadows, not a matte to be found in this palette. And what I like about that is that it is truly a one and done. You can mix and match these. You can go in with other palettes with matte shadows and create an entire eye look out of it, but you don't have to. And another part of this is you do have some really light and ethereal sort of shades, but you also have some that really pack a punch and bring that brightness as well. I can't help myself but to swatch some of these because this palette's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So there's just a very small selection of them. So I mean, it really doesn't take much. You just swipe them across the lid and you're good to go. You throw on some mascara. You don't even need liner with these, and away you go. But you can see like this bright pink one, it packs a punch. So if you want something fun and bright, this palette delivers. If you want something a little bit more muted that's still going to catch the light and just bring a little bit of intrigue, this palette also gets it done. This one's just beautiful, to be honest, and you really don't have to use like a glitter base with it, like a glitter glue or anything of that sort. I've applied them with no eye base at all, and they still hold up really well all day long. I would suggest using some sort of eyeshadow base, whether that be like a Gerard Cosmetics clean canvas base or like the Sigma one or whichever one you enjoy using. But these aren't the kind of shades that are going to become super crumbly and flake off during the day. They don't have glitter in them, so it's not like glitter's raining down on your cheeks. Trust me, just trust me. These shadows are perfection. They are absolutely beautiful. Next, I have 2 palettes from Kaleidos. So up first we have the Escape Pod. And what I really like about this one is that it's a great like colorful option for the office in summer. Bear with me. If you work in a professional setting and you're sort of required to wear toned down makeup or something along those lines, you might still want to have like a little bit of fun with it, but you don't want to go overboard and like get written up or whatever the hell bosses do when they don't like your makeup. It's such a foreign concept to me. I truly don't understand it. Anyways, this one has you covered because it has that inclusion of the, well, not that one so much, but like the neutral options in here along here as well. But you could just like maybe add a little bit of green just on the inner corner. It's just a hint of color, nothing to like ruffle any feathers, but still have a little bit of fun. Or run a brighter option here under the lower lash line, something along those lines. But if you don't have that restraint on you, you can also go like balls to the wall with this palette and go full on color. I just think it's such a fun option, and because of the brightness of it, it makes me think more like spring, summertime. but I just think it's so much fun, and I think it's a really well-balanced palette. I also really like the mix of the finishes in here. You have like really truly velvety soft mattes, but then you also have these beautiful shimmers that remind me of the ones that are in the Adept Cosmetics palette, although if I'm being fair, I'm going to give the edge to Adept, but this one's not a bad second place. At any rate, this one makes me think of I was going to say it makes me think of fun. Yes, it does. It makes me think of summer and just like that bright and fun element to it. So, ow. Oh man. Hey man, you guys clicked subscribe. I'm sorry. This is what I bring to the table. I hit myself in the face with palettes, apparently. Anyways, let's move on to the other one from Kaleidos, and that is the Flower Punk. So this one has like a little bit of a mix to it, and I think it'll become a bit obvious when I like actually show it to you, but think of like transitional clothing, you know, where you're wearing maybe shorts, but you have like a light sweater on or something of that sort. Like here in Canada, it would be maybe end of September, you're starting to reach for those kind of items where the days are a little bit unpredictable. Sometimes they're a little bit cooler. The leaves are starting to change. You're starting to feel that itch for sweater weather, but sometimes it's still warm. That kind of time of year. This palette, I think it's going to ride the line perfectly. So the reason that I say that is because of these shades over here. This reminds me of like Gemini from Melt, and it's a little bit on like the grungier side, which I think is perfect for fall, but then you have these really light and airy shades over here. They all kind of mix nicely, or you can just do like a monochromatic look with any of these. I think they're beautiful. I've actually really enjoyed playing with this palette. I do feel the need to say that Kaleidos did send this to me, but regardless, the color story still speaks for itself and it still fits into this category. I think it's such a unique offering of shades. Like I like the mix that's going on in here. I like that you almost have like, they're flirting the line of being pastels, but they're not quite there, which to me is perfect because I don't like the look of pastels on me. I think they look amazing on other people, but for some reason I just can't pull it off. I don't know if it's a skin tone thing or what it is, but they don't look right on me. These ones, however, they have just enough depth to them where I don't run into that problem. And I just think it's a beautiful palette. And like I said, I really like that they have the inclusion of the more like grungy side of things as well, so that you can get use out of this in the fall. Not that you can't anyways, like I don't want to make it sound again like I'm making rules or anything of that sort, but for me personally, this feels very fall on this side, very summer on this, but you can mix it and match it and get use out of it all year long, I think is the point that I'm trying to say. I've lost the point. At any rate, I've shown you this. Let's move on to the next one. Does anything scream summer more than like really bright colors and a lot of them? I don't know. That's where this one comes in. Fade into Hue from Colourpop. It's your traditional rainbow palette, but like writ large, very large. So you have, again, that mix of shadows in here. You have the mattes. You've got the mattes with those little flecks of micro glitter. You have true shimmer shadows, and you also have pressed glitters in here. I frankly could have done without the pressed glitters, but be that as it may, here we are. I do like how this is set out in like Rouge Gabiv. It just makes my like somewhat OCD mind happy. I've made the point before, I do wish that all of these were completely matte. These ones do have that little bit of micro glitter in them. I wish it was all straight matte across here, but be that as it may, you still have a ton of options to work with. And this just like screams summer to me. It's just so bright and fun and colorful. I mean, you really can't get much more colorful than this, I don't think. And I think it's just so fun. And that's why I've included it here. Now the next one that I want to show you is very much more muted than the Colourpop, although frankly anything in comparison to that palette is muted, but you'll see in just a second. This is the Viseart palette, the Soleil La Plage, and if you look on the inside, very much more muted. And yet still, this makes me think of summer. It just brings to mind the beach. You've got all those like tones in there, right? You've got the kind of color of the sand. You have like sort of those, again, sunset or sunrises as the case may be. A blue here to sort of represent the water. And I just think it's such a pretty, pretty palette. I've really enjoyed playing around with this one. Again, you don't have a ton of shades in here, but you do have a nice mix of depths as well as colors. I like that you've got some nice shimmers in here, and these shimmers are actually really pretty. I've kind of struggled with Viseart shimmers in the past where they've just been really lackluster. That's not the case with this palette. But also you have like really almost like a buttery yellow down here and a really deep brown up here, so you can lighten things up or deepen them as the case may be. And overall, it's just one of those palettes that just makes me happy just to look at it. So wanted to share this one with you. And then last but certainly not least, because I think arguably this has the most summery color story of all the palettes that I've shown you, and that is going to be Mimosa from BH Cosmetics. So I recently picked this one up and it's just so damn fun. It is so fun. I really hate the holographic background. Like I hate it for the purposes of showing you guys what the shadows look like because it just it jacks everything up. But you've got pinks, you've got golden tones, you've got orange, you've got yellow. It's just so freaking fun. It's basically sunset in a palette. Love it. I do wish that there was a deep like purple in here just so that you could deepen shades up. That would have made this like the perfect palette. Maybe take this one out because this pink doesn't really jive with the rest of them. Replace that with a really deep purple or like a really deep like cranberry tone, something along those lines, and I think this would have been absolute perfection. But regardless of that, it's still a really summery color story, and I had to share this one because I've just had so much fun playing with this. This is just one of those palettes that makes my heart happy. I can't explain it beyond that. I will try, but it might not make sense to you because I think it's a very personal thing. But the color story in here, the quality of these shadows, the way that they look on my eyes, because they really bring out the green that I have, it all works. And when I look at this, I just get inspired by this palette. Not every palette that I have does that for me. This definitely does. Again, I do wish there was a really deep shade in there because I think it would just take it to that much, like to that next level, but that's not the point. I'm not trying to review the palette, so I need to tone down those impulses to critique. Anyways, it makes my heart happy. That's all I got to say. It makes me happy. I think it's incredibly summery. I'm enjoying the hell out of this one. And there we have it, guys. Those are 10 palettes that make me think of summer. I would love to hear from you in the comments what some of your favorite summertime palettes are. Let me know down below, but otherwise I'm gonna wrap the video up here. I hope it wasn't as incoherent as I feel like it might have been. We'll see what I can do in editing. Anyways, that is it for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.